Dear students, welcome to this lecture of Strategic Human Resource Management, and the topic for today is employee engagement, and this is part 1 of the lecture on employee engagement. So, you must have very often heard this term called employee engagement, and especially when we talk in terms of a good organization, an organization which takes care of its employees, where there is high level of performance among employees, then this term somehow or the other pops up that the employees are very engaged, there is high level of employee engagement. So, let us understand first what is the meaning of employee engagement and how it is important for the organization. So, employee engagement is the extent to which employees feel passionate about their jobs, are committed to the organization and put discretionary effort into their work. Now, there are few things which are very important here: the extent to which employees feel passionate about their jobs. They do not work simply because they have to earn, they have to take care of their family, take care of their personal needs, but they work because they feel that energy, that enthusiasm, that that drive to work. So, whatever they are doing, they enjoy it, they are feeling very positive about it. It is not like a burden that it has to be carried, because certain needs of oneself and the family have to be taken care of, and that is why one is doing a particular job. Then the other part is they are committed to the organization. So, it is not merely that people are liking the work they are doing, but they are also liking where they are doing it. So, for example, in the case of a doctor, he may be very passionate about his job, his profession of being a doctor, but he may not be satisfied in the hospital or in the medical college where at that point of time he is working. So, he may still, whatever he thinks in his entire life, he thinks that he will always be working as a doctor, he feels very good about it, but he still or she still feels the need of changing the place of work. So, employee engagement is like two faceted, that is, the employee not only likes the work which he or she is putting in, but also the organization or the company where that person is working. And the third part, which is also equally important, is that they are ready to put discretionary effort into their work. So, we have discussed the concept of discretionary behavior. Discretionary behavior means a behavior on an effort or a responsibility which one is fulfilling, which is not part of the job requirement. Formal job requirement, it is not required. People are going out of their way, employees go out of their way to satisfy a customer, to help a co-worker, to complete the targets or to wind up a project, even if that means staying back for long hours, working tirelessly. So, they are putting discretionary effort which is not part of their formal job role in the organization. So, these three things work out the concept of employee engagement. It implies an emotional connection which an employee feels towards his or her organization. So, obviously, you can understand that all these things, they are coming from not only the formal setup, but how the employee feels for the organization, and that is why emotional connect is very important in employee engagement, that people or employees who feel a sense of emotional connect with their company or with their organization, they tend to get engaged with the organization. Now, David McLeod has defined employee engagement as: this is how we create the conditions in which employees offer more of their capability and potential. So, what is going to be the result of feeling passionate towards our work, towards the organization, commitment towards the organization where we are working, ready to put in discretionary effort, feeling an emotional connect? The result will be that people will be working more than their capability or their potential, as David McLeod has put it. Now, employee engagement is based on trust, integrity, two-way commitment and communication between an organization and its members. So, what do we require to create a the scenario of employee engagement, or to keep our employees engaged in the organization, with the organization? We require, because it is an emotional connection, so we require things which work on the emotional level. So, we require a lot of trust, integrity, two-way commitment. That means, two-way commitment means employee is ready to commit himself or herself to the organization. What about the organization? Is the organization ready to commit itself to the employee? Is the organization ready to say to the employee that your job is secure here till the time you are with us, you are doing well for the organization, you do not need to worry. So, communication, two-way communication within an organization and its members. Now, Steve Jobs, you all know, he is a legend, and he says that the only way to do a great job is to love what you do. So, unless people feel passionate, unless they have that fire within themselves and they enjoy what they are doing, they will never feel good about it, and they will never give good results to themselves or to the organization, and then thus employee engagement will be missing, and hence performance will be low. Myths about employee engagement. Now, there are certain misconceptions about employee engagement. What are those? First is, serious employees are engaged employees. So, we feel that employees who just concentrate on their work and they do not talk much, and people feel they fear if while disturbing these employees. Such employees are very, very engaged employees. No, that is a myth. So, employees who are engaged not necessarily are serious employees. Engaged employees could be ones who are very, very jovial, who enjoy, who relax, who indulge in recreational activities, and who whatever comes their way, they do it with lot of passion and commitment. So, whether it is fun or it is work, they kind of enjoy every thing which comes their way. So, that is the first myth which we have to dispel, that only serious employees can be considered as engaged employees. On the contrary, employees who enjoy every kind of activity are the ones who are actually engaged with the organization. Second myth which organizations have, and which makes them shy away also many times from this encouraging employee engagement or starting with this concept, is that employee engagement requires a big investment. So, a lot of money will be involved if we are engaging employees. No, that is also wrong, which we will see in due course of this lecture and the coming lecture part 2, that it does not require a lot of investment in terms of money. It requires lot of effort or investment in terms of, as we have seen, emotional connections, developing a sense of trust, integrity, communication. So, all these things do not require money, they require small, little, consistent efforts. Employee engagement is the HR manager's job. Now, this is the third myth which is very, very common in organization, that if we talk about employee engagement, who is to take care of employee engagement? It is, the common answer would be HR department should come up with strategies for employee engagement. It should see whether employees are engaged or not. fine, the HR manager or the HR department should come up with surveys to find out what is the level of employee engagement. It should suggest strategies to increase the level of engagement, but the matter of fact is that each and every senior, each and every line manager in the organization is responsible for employee engagement. Any person, any employee in the organization who has a team under him or her, who has a subordinate under him or her, is responsible for employee engagement, because ultimately it is a connection of emotions. So, when you do not have a connect as an employee with your superior, then HR manager cannot do anything, right. So, only a strategy can be suggested by HR manager, as I said, but ultimately implementation of those strategies and bringing about the high levels of employee engagement would be every manager's responsibility. Then next is happy employees are engaged employees. See, we have said in the first part, in the first myth, that serious employees are engaged employees. So, if any employee is smiling, is having fun, we feel that that employee is not engaged. But on the contrary, we have also to take care that any employee who is always jovial, who is always smiling, who is always happy, does not guarantee that he is engaged with the job or with the organization. He is committed to the organization, not a guarantee, not necessary, because people may on superficial level they may show that they are very happy, they are very satisfied, but internally they may not be connected with the organization. So, if we get with this perception, okay, all my employees smile, they are happy, then my employees are engaged, then it can lead to lot of problems and losses and errors in the future. And the last myth is employee engagement is nothing but just a buzzword. So, it is because everybody is talking about it, it is in the fashion these days, it is trending these days. So, let us also talk about employee engagement. No, employee engagement is not a buzzword, it is not just this a fashionable thing to have, it is actually a very, very deep concept, it is actually something which if the organization uses properly or let us say implements properly, then in that case it is going to deliver very good results, not only for the organization in terms of the profits and revenues, but it is also going to deliver results in terms of the image and goodwill of the organization. Now, we have discussed a general meaning of employee engagement. Now, let us talk about employee engagement from the employee's perspective. What employees derive from the term employee engagement? First thing is understanding one's role in an organization and being energized on where it fits in the organization's objective. So, when you require passion about your job, then as an employee you need to understand how your task, how your responsibilities are contributing to the overall goal of the organization. So, you have to understand as an employee where your contributions fits into the larger picture of the organization. So, that is one component of the understanding what employees get from the term employee engagement. Second is being included fully as a member of the team focused on clear goals. So, there is no confusion, there is no ambiguity regarding goals that the employer is saying something, the employee is understanding something, and as a result of that there is confusion related to attainment of goals. So, what employees get to understand or what perception they derive from employee engagement is that they should have clarity regarding the goals, and then they should be included in every team process. All those processes which concern them, their suggestions, their ideas should be taken into consideration, and they should be allowed to contribute fully as a team member rather than being just given instructions to follow. Next is trusted and empowered. So, next thing which employees require is that a deep sense of trust, among the employees, and a feeling of a sense of being empowered. As I said, that decisions relating to their own area can be delegated to them, and just it could be discussed, and then they could start, not too much of intervention by the superior or the departmental head. So, when you go for empowerment, automatically there comes a feeling of trust which generates within the employee, that the employer trusts him. Receiving regular and constructive feedback. So, we have already seen that employee engagement is not going to happen in the absence of two-way communication. So, it is very important for the superior or for the leader to give continuous and positive feedback, and positive feedback does not mean that only praise and appreciation. It means that even if the employee has committed a mistake, or if there is some scope of improvement in the employee, then that should also be put in a very positive way, in a way that leads to improvement and development, rather than which leads to lot of stress and negativity in the employee. Then supported in developing new skills. So, obviously, if we give a feedback to an employee and if we tell him that there is some gap where he needs to improve, he needs to develop, sharpen his skills, then that there should be a system of training and development also, and the employee should be nurtured and groomed into developing those skills, right. So, that also develops a sense of engagement of the employee with the organization, and rather the employee expects these things from the employer. Thanked and recognized for achievement. So, everybody wants praise, everybody wants appreciation, especially if somebody has done something good, then it should be publicly recognized and appreciated. So, that also the employee wants, or he expects from the organization, so as to create a high level of employee engagement. Then what does the employer, what meaning does the employer derive from the word employee engagement? The employer derives the meaning that employees, in terms of engagement, they should have positive attitudes and behaviors leading to improved business outcomes in a way that they trigger and reinforce one another. Now, this is very important. The employer expects, if employees are engaged, then they should have positive attitude towards work, positive behavior towards work and the organization. And what does it lead to? It leads to improved business outcomes, get higher revenue, higher profits, etc., and in a way that they trigger and reinforce each other. And this should be a two-way process. It should be one leading to the other, and positive attitudes leading to lot of profits and revenues and market share and whatever business outcomes, and business outcomes, when profits are being earned, then they are being shared with the employees, leading to more positive attitudes and behaviors in the employee. So, it is a two-way process. Then employees feeling pride and loyalty working for the organization, being a great advocate of the organization to our clients, users and customers, going that extra mile to finish a piece of work. So, what more does the employer expect from the employee in terms of engagement? That the employees should feel they should feel a sense of pride that they are working for this particular organization, they should feel proud about it, and then they should talk very well, in very nice words, they should talk about the organization to the customers, to any other parties, users, and also putting in discretionary effort, that is going out of their way to help the customer or finishing off a task. Now, drawing out a deeper commitment from employees leading to fewer leaves, decline in accident rates, conflicts and grievances, rise in productivity. And furthermore, it should lead to employee engagement should lead to employees getting committed to the organization, that is they do not think of leaving the organization. They also avoid avoidable leaves, then accident rates come down, then there is reduction in the rates of conflicts in the organization, grievances come down, and there is obviously high efficiency and productivity in the organization. That is what the employer, this is what the meaning the employer derives from the term employee engagement. And then promises kept or an explanation why they cannot be kept. So, whatever promise the employee has made to the employer, those promises are fulfilled, and in case if due to certain reasons they are not fulfilled, then the employee should clearly explain where he lagged. Then components of employee engagement, we have already discussed that there are two perspectives of employee engagement, one from the employer side, one from the employee side, but there are two particular components. We have said that the employee should enjoy his work also, and he should feel good about the organization also. So, engagement with the organization. So, when an employee feels engaged with the organization, so we have to see how far they have that kind of a commitment to the organization, how they feel about senior management, what is their perception about senior management, whether the senior management is very encouraging, ethical, so it is pro employees or not. Confidence in organizational leadership as well as trust, fairness, values and respect. So, a general overall perception what employees derive from the leadership of the organization, how much trust they have in it, or how much they feel that there is no bias and prejudice in the organization, how far they conform with the values, they agree with the values of the organization, and how much they feel there is mutual respect in the organization. And then obviously, if suppose an employee feels very good about the organization, but somehow or the other he is not having a very cordial relationship with the senior, then again employee engagement will suffer. So, engagement with senior is also a very important component of employee engagement, how employees relate to their direct supervisors, and in research shows that the relationship an employee cultivates with their co-workers and supervisors has a direct influence on their psychological sense of meaningfulness at work. So, this is very obvious, because many times we even if the organization is not so very good, we are not very happy, but if our co-workers and our immediate boss is very good, then we kind of somehow ignore all those things and we love to work in that organization. But contrary to that, if the organization is very good, but our co-workers, team members, team leader, somehow we cannot gel with them, then in that case, howsoever good the organization is, we would like to leave the organization. So, that is also indicated in the research. Then feeling valued, being treated fairly, receiving feedback and direction, and having a strong working relationship based on mutual trust. So, that is with regards to the seniors. And a survey by Strategic Human Resource Management found that 67% of the employees surveyed rated respectful treatment of all employees at all levels as one of the most important drivers of engagement and satisfaction in their workforce. So, it is very important, mutual respect between the employer and the employee, or the senior and the junior, is very important for having a employee engagement. The 4 levels of employee engagement. The first level of employee engagement is actively disengaged, that these are employees working actively to weaken the prosperity of the organization. They create a negative atmosphere in the office, bring down productivity, and as a result of that, neither their performance is good nor the organization's performance. we do not want such employees. Then neither engaged nor committed, these are these do not feel passionate to their work, they are neither emotionally attached to their work or the organization, nor are they driven towards achieving their goals. Then the third level is engaged but not committed. So, they like their work, but they do not like the organization in which they are working. So, these are the people, because maybe there are a lot of internal conflicts or biases and prejudices in the organization, because of which they are engaged but not committed. And what kind of employees we require in the organization? We require engaged and committed employees in the organization who feel passionate about the work also, and who feel a sense of connect with the organization also. Now, what are the characteristics of this category of employees? Engaged employees are intellectually and emotionally connected to their organization as measured by 3 primary behaviors. These employees will display these 3 behaviors. First is say, to whomsoever they are talking about the organization to, they will refer good things about, they will talk good things about the organization, they will show the organization a very positive light. Second is stay, they do not want to leave the organization, they continue to work, they want to continue working with the organization. So, attrition rates are low when the employees have lot of high levels of engagement, and then they strive that they want to contribute to the best of their potential to make the organization a success. So, then what are the problems in employee engagement if it is such a good concept? The greatest cause of a workplace engagement program's failure is the employee engagement is widely considered as HR thing. So, every manager does not take the responsibility, it is given to the HR department, which is also a myth. It is not owned by leaders, expected of managers, not understood by frontline employees. So, nobody understands, everybody wants to have engagement, but nobody understands this concept. Result is that some organizations believe they have exhausted engagement as a performance lever before they truly explore its full potential to change their business. So, because they do not understand, they feel that employee engagement is not working. These leaders consistently experience low engagement, or they plateau and eventually decline despite repeated attempts to boost scores. So, once you do not know what you have to do as in terms of engagement, then the results will not come. And at a loss for explanations, leaders may blame the tool, the measurement, the philosophy or environmental factors that they believe make their problems unique. So, because they do not know the concept, they do not understand whose responsibility it is, they do not know how it will be measured, on what basis engagement will be measured, how it will be created, they do not know anything. So, then they blame for low levels of engagement, they will blame several external factors or maybe the whole concept itself, but they will not be able to achieve the results. So, that is how these problems come, and in the next lecture, part 2, we will be seeing what are the drivers of employee engagement, so that we come to know that how it can be created and how it can be measured in the organization. So, I hope you have understood the basic concept of employee engagement. Thank you.